My engagement party was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. The room was filled with soft music, flickering candles, and the scent of lilies and champagne. People were laughing, sipping cocktails, and congratulating me and Liam, the man I loved, the man I'd spent 6 years building a life with. But behind all the smiles and clinking glasses, my family was plotting something unforgivable. It started 2 weeks before the party, when my mother called me into the kitchen with her fake, gentle voice. The one she always used when she wanted something big. "You know your brother's wedding is coming up," she said, adjusting her pearl necklace like she was preparing for war. "And you haven't really done anything with that $100,000 Grandpa left you for your own wedding." I stiffened. "Because I am saving it for my wedding." "Well, Leo's wedding is first," she smiled, a sickly sweet expression. "And he really wants that resort in Cancun. It would mean the world if you'd let us borrow the money." I blinked, the words catching in my throat. "You want me to give him my wedding fund?" "Not give," my father chimed in from the doorway, "just lend it. You and Liam can have a backyard thing, you're not flashy anyway." I stared at them both, a cold dread creeping up my spine. "You want me to downsize my future for his big party?" My mother's face hardened into a scowl. "It is not about you, Zara. Your brother is the only son, and he's marrying into the Vanderbilts. They have real connections." "And what about Liam?" "About me?" I asked, my voice trembling with disbelief. "You'll understand when you're older," my father said coldly, then walked out as if the conversation was over. But I did not give in. For 2 weeks, the tension at home was a physical weight pressing down on me. They tried guilt. They tried manipulation. My mother even cried and told the extended family I was refusing to help my brother in his time of need. I ignored the side eyes and silent judgments. Liam kept telling me, "You do not owe them your future, Zara." And for once, I believed him. I chose myself. But I never expected them to retaliate like this. The night of the engagement party, everything was perfect. Until my brother, Leo, showed up late, clearly drunk, and tossed his blazer onto a guest's chair like he owned the entire night. My father gave him a sharp nod, then scanned the room for me. When he saw me standing near the cake with Liam's arm around my waist, his face darkened. He approached slowly, a man trying to look calm while holding back a storm of rage. "We need to talk," he said through gritted teeth. "In the middle of my engagement," I said, pulling back slightly. "You are embarrassing this family," he hissed, grabbing my arm. Liam stepped forward. "Sir, with all due respect," but my father shoved him back. "Stay out of it." The music stuttered to a halt. Every guest turned as my father's voice boomed across the room. "You selfish brat. You owe your brother everything. And this party, you do not deserve it." I tried to pull away, but he gripped my wrist tighter, his eyes wild. "Give him the damn money, or I swear," and then it happened. He slapped me, open-handed, in front of 50 people. My earring flew off, a tiny silver glint in the candlelight. My head snapped to the side with the force of the blow, and time just stopped. My mother gasped, but not in horror. It was a gasp of pure embarrassment. Leo laughed nervously and took a sip of his drink. Liam rushed to my side, his hands gently holding my face, his entire body trembling with fury. "You just hit your daughter," he said, his voice shaking, "on her engagement." "She brought it on herself," my father snapped. "She is ungrateful. We raised her, and this is how she repays us." I stood there, holding my burning cheek, staring at a man who had just shattered the last piece of me that wanted to be a part of his family. I did not cry. Not then. Instead, a chilling calm settled over me. I turned to Liam and whispered, "Let's go." We left the party without another word. The silence behind us was deafening. I could feel the judgment, the whispers, the scandal beginning to bloom like a dark bruise. But I did not care, because something inside me had snapped in the most powerful way. They wanted to take my future. Fine, I would take theirs, and I knew exactly where to start. The next morning, my cheek still ached, but it was not the sting that haunted me. It was the silence. No calls, no apologies. Not from my mother, not from my father, not even from Leo. They acted as if nothing had happened. Liam made me eggs and coffee, his jaw tight with a tension he was trying to hide. "You need to do something," he said softly. "This is not just about a slap. They humiliated you, and they will keep doing it." I nodded. But I already had a plan. I had been holding on to something, a piece of paperwork from years ago that my parents had probably forgotten existed. See, my grandfather left me $100,000 for my wedding. But that was not all. Before he passed, he quietly transferred the deed of their house, his original property, to me. He had told me, "One day they will forget your blood, Zara. When they do, you will need this to remind you that you are not powerless." Back then, I did not fully understand. Now I did. I pulled the file from a locked drawer. There it was. Property deed, title holder, Zara Croft. Signed, stamped, untouched. They did not know I was the legal owner of their home. They thought it was still in my grandfather's estate, or perhaps jointly theirs. But Grandpa had bypassed the entire process. He never trusted them. He trusted me. I made some calls. My lawyer, a kind but fierce woman named Helena, reviewed the documents and confirmed everything. "You have full legal authority to sell this home," she said. "If you want to proceed, just say the word." I did not say yes. Not yet, because I wanted them to see it coming. First, I sent them a formal notice in an elegant, gold-embossed envelope notifying them of a change in ownership review. No threat, just a clinical, legal reminder. 2 days later, my mother called. "Zara, what is this envelope?" she asked, her voice sharp and accusatory. "Oh," I said, my own voice deceptively calm. "It is about the house," she scoffed. "We have lived here for 20 years. You cannot just—" "I can, actually," I said, the bitterness finally rising. "I own it. Grandpa left it to me, not to you, not to Father." Silence. Then a choked whisper. "You do not mean to evict us." I smiled, a cold, painful thing. "I mean to give you the same amount of consideration you gave me when Father slapped me in front of 50 guests, and you stood there like I deserved it." She tried the guilt again. "But where will we go? Your father's health is not what it used to be. We have built our life in this house." "And I was building mine," I said, "until you tried to gut it for a beach wedding and then watched your husband hit your daughter." That is when the screaming started. She cursed me, called me ungrateful, evil, said she should have never had me. I let her rage until she was breathless. Then I said, "You have 30 days. Click, I was not done. Liam and I went to Leo's wedding, invited only because I had not formally gone public yet. I showed up in a sleek white pantsuit, my cheek healed, my eyes colder than ice. My brother smirked at me during the reception. "Glad you could finally show your face," he said. I leaned in close. "I hope you enjoy the honeymoon," I whispered. "Because when you get back, Mother and Father will not have a home to welcome you." He laughed until he saw the look in my eyes and realized I was not joking. 2 weeks later, the final documents went through. I sold the house, not to just anyone, but to a developer who planned to bulldoze it and rebuild. The notice was posted on their front door in bright red. "Property sold. Vacate within 14 days. My phone rang nonstop. I did not answer. When they showed up at my doorstep in tears, I let them stand on the lawn. "You think this is fair?" my father shouted, his face purple with rage. "No," I said from my doorway, but neither was slapping me at my engagement party or choosing a son over a daughter for 28 years. "We gave you everything," he growled. "You took everything," I corrected him. "Now I am just returning the favor." They begged. For the first time in my life, they begged me, but I had already moved on. I watched them drive away, their entire life packed into the back of Leo's SUV. It was not revenge, it was justice. And it was only the beginning. 3 months after I sold the house, life was calm, but I was not done healing. The world assumed I was doing fine, that I had moved on. But trauma does not vanish just because the deed is filed and the locks are changed. The truth is, I spent nights questioning if I went too far, if revenge was just a mask for old wounds. Then the letter arrived. It was addressed in my mother's handwriting, mailed, not emailed, as if shame was too heavy for a digital message. I let it sit unopened on my kitchen counter for 2 days. When I finally read it, the words stung like glass. "We raised you. We loved you. You are destroying your family out of spite. You sold our home, your home, and now your father's health is declining. You have made your point. Are you proud of yourself? No apology, no acknowledgement, just guilt." I burned the letter in a fire pit that night. Liam stood beside me, silently handing me the lighter. His presence told me everything I needed. I was not wrong to walk away. The world, though, kept turning. 2 weeks later, I got an unexpected call from Marcus Thorne, CEO of a prestigious consulting firm where I had interned in college. I had not heard from him in years. "Zara," he said warmly, "I have been following your work with the nonprofit. Your latest housing equity project is brilliant. We are opening a new branch in Seattle. I want you to lead it." I nearly dropped the phone. "You are offering me an executive role." "Yes," he said. "Full control, full salary, and full freedom." I took it. That night, Liam and I packed boxes for our move. I glanced around our apartment one last time, not because I would miss it, but because it symbolized the life I had built on my own. Months into my new role, a company gala was held in Los Angeles. I returned to town to speak, unaware that my speech would go viral. I shared my story, not every ugly detail, but enough. I spoke about generational betrayal, about the myth of unconditional love, about how sometimes the people who raise you also try to erase you. The room was silent until it exploded in applause. When I stepped off stage, a young woman stopped me near the elevator. "Your story saved me," she said, tearing up. "My dad made me give up my savings for my brother's law school, and I thought I was the problem. But now I know I am not." I hugged her. I did not need validation, but it reminded me my pain had purpose. 2 weeks later, I returned to my childhood town briefly for a real estate visit. As fate would have it, I ran into my brother Leo outside a strip mall. He was thinner, disheveled, with dark circles under his eyes. He blinked when he saw me step out of a black SUV. "Oh," he muttered. "So the rumors were true. Which ones?" I asked, a faint smile on my lips. "That you sold the house just to prove a point." I tilted my head. "No, I sold it because you proved a point to me first for years." He looked away. "Mother has been crashing on my couch. That must be fun," I said. He flinched. "You have really changed, Zara." "No," I said, stepping closer. "You just underestimated how much power there is in silence. You never learned to listen to it." That is where I was planning my return. He had no reply. Back in Seattle, things grew brighter. I launched a women's initiative for survivors of family betrayal. I named it the second room for all the daughters who were told they would never deserve the first. At the grand opening, I gave one final speech. I was hit at my own engagement party. But that was not the day I broke. It was the day I began to rebuild. We are not what they did to us. We are what we build from it. Applause, tears, hope. My parents, I never saw them again. But every now and then, I imagine them driving past the spot where their house once stood. Now a modern shelter for single mothers stands there, paid for by the very fund they tried to steal from me. And that is the legacy I choose to leave behind. Not revenge, rebirth.